Okay, now we're getting started. Sorry, people are screaming in the other room, but we got the baby in the other room. But anyway, so today, guys, I want to go through kind of a way to like get this off the ground like right away. And if you guys have any feedback today, give it to me so we can make adjustments. But yeah, and then we're using Riverside. If you guys don't mind, I like using this because this is actually how I create all my content and I record a lot of different stuff. And so it's going to make a really nice recording to share with the rest of the team. I mean, you could use Zoom or Google Meet, but to me, it's a lot easier to share this recording and it's a lot higher quality. And the other cool thing is I want to like, when I start doing like live calls and I'm closing, I want to be able to do them here in Riverside and then, because then I can actually make content out of it, which I like. And then I can share those with you guys and you guys can go listen to, because at least, so I'm on 2 different teams, right? My other team's a little bit farther ahead, but don't worry, we're going to catch them because I'm going to get more involved in this team. I'm going to help both teams, but basically, the other team, I think they had some people who had done these before, and they had the LOI blaster ready, and they had a bunch of other little things like teed up ready to go. But anyway, on that team, their feedback was as far as what people wanted to learn the most about, and maybe we'll send you guys a survey, but a couple things they said is they wanted to learn more about how to close, how to underwrite, and kind of more of the process of like what I do is they were most interested in that. So I'm going to assume that's probably similar to you guys. And so like whenever I get leads that you guys bring, I'm going to try to, as much as I can, I'm going to try to record them. Let me ask that though. Was anybody on Problems to Profits last Friday when I went through a bunch of leads from No One Left Behind? Chris was. Cool. Did you stay on for 4 hours, Chris? Good. Cool. Thanks, Chris. Yeah. So on Fridays, and I guess I could start there, is I sent a link and I sent it in Slack, the recording. So my kind of format, guys, for Problems to Profits, which is a Zoom we've been doing we're on like week 15, started last summer, and Pace gave me the opportunity to like do a Zoom every Friday. So it's designed to have students bring their problems and help solve them, right? What I've kind of done the last couple of weeks is I'm kind of bringing a topic to talk about, and then I'm going to go show you guys how I'm solving problems on that topic. For example, last week I talked about wraps. I kind of gave a high level overview of wraps, and then I actually started showing you like, hey, here's how I execute on wraps, and here's some problems I'm going to solve with it. And then what we did though on the back half of that call is I'm doing my No One Left Behind calls that like my other team is bringing, and then any ones that you guys are bringing, I'm going to try to do them in that window because A, it's recorded, and B, that's one of the bigger intent of Problems to Profits is I want to like it's most effective when I'm actually calling sellers, and students have always the feedback has been unanimously like they get the most when I call somebody live and it's like literally just like I have no. Yeah, it's just live and raw. People love that, right? And they learn from it because they can see how I think on my feet. And then when I wrap up the call, I can kind of give them a breakdown. So, but what the only feedback I've had from Problems to Profits, or maybe I'm giving it to myself, is we're not getting enough students bringing deals. So the No One Left Behind challenge has brought a bunch more deals in into where we spent. Usually that's a 2-hour Zoom. Last week we went for 3 hours and 45 minutes because we had a bunch of leads that we were calling. So anyway. That's going to be one window that I give you guys. So if we want to write one thing down, I'm going to write it too, is Fridays from basically 12 to 2 o'clock CST. That will be a good window for you guys to book appointments for me. Any appointments we can, but I want those to be like kind of the best ones, like the really, and we'll kind of talk about how to like filter appointments down a little bit, but like the best appointments that are like somebody who's definitely interested and they want to do creative or whatever it might be, we'll do those on Fridays, right? And I'll give you guys a couple other times I'm calling. Okay. I didn't freeze, did I? Is my video quality still coming through? Good. Okay. Looked like it froze for a second. So anyway, so that would be, that's one window. That's I call it P2P, Problems to Profits window when you guys could book. Okay. But that's like the end of it, right? So let's go back to the beginning and figure out how are we going to generate leads. So, you know what? I did not share. Let me share this with one other person. So Mike is actually going to help us. Let me see if Mike texted me back. There he is. Okay, link to. No one left behind. Call. Okay, so I just shared this with Mike. So Mike was generous enough to let us use his LOI blaster because that was the first thing I was trying to figure out if my company was just going to go set one up or if we had somebody else on the team. But Mike's already got it set up, and the cool thing is too, Mike's like, yeah, Casey, you could go do this, but it's not like something you turn on today and you start blasting out tomorrow. It's like he's had to iterate it and do a bunch of tweaks. Okay. So anyway, he's been generous enough to let us use his LOI blaster. So that's one of the things we're going to get kicked off, like hopefully within this week. I'm going to give him the areas, and he's actually already turned on, I think, Wyoming and Montana and South Dakota, or I'm going to have him turn on South Dakota and a couple other ones. So one thing is going to be the LOI blaster. So I'm going to make that note. So Mike is basically going to get that started and send it out. So Mike's starting this. Okay. So that'll get us some leads going. And then I'm going to have, Roger is really good with LOI blaster. So I'm going to hand Roger's the integrator. He's not on right now, but Roger's really good with this stuff. And I think he can really help build out like, hey, how do you guys use the LOI blaster? How do we keep track of it all? So I'm going to lean on Roger to do that, and more to come there. But another just kind of more big picture one, guys, is I was looking at this. Oh, sorry. Thought I was going to sneeze. Nope, not going to come. Okay. So the way I looked at this, guys, is I'm going to compare to the other team quite a bit. But the other team is doing deals across the country, which is great, right? They're doing the LOI blaster, but they're only, all we're currently doing is going direct to agent. And if you guys don't know this, direct to agent, it's the easiest way, but it's the easiest way to get leads. It's the hardest way to close deals because when you go direct to agent, you're talking to houses that are listed on the market. Everyone else can see it. So there's the highest level of competition. You have the barrier of talking to an agent. And if you guys have been on Problems of Profits, you know that like when you have the agent in the way, it's very difficult to get a sub-2 deal done. So going after deals on the market is the most challenging. My company is built on like going direct to seller, right? So I started Wyohouses like 5 years ago, and we do postcards. I do texting, and we do cold calling. We've done radio before. We have our website. We do Facebook leads. We do Google leads. We have all these different lead sources to go direct to seller, right? So the big difference is the LOI blaster and what a lot of people are doing in this challenge is they're going direct to agent. But does that make sense, guys? The challenge when you go direct to agent and why it's really hard to close deals? So my thought with this team, I think we should be unique and honestly, personally, I'm doing it because it's a better use of my time, and I feel like we can close more deals if we go direct to seller. And really, we're going to do both, right? So, but the LOI blaster is going to be a direct to agent campaign. I'm also going to tweak that and see if Roger and Mike can work together to maybe we can actually do some direct to seller stuff with the LOI blaster. It's just I'm told you can do it. We haven't done it yet, but I'm told you can do it. But what I want to do is let's leverage all of the lists. Like, guys, I'm doing so much marketing right now, and my team's struggling to keep up. And I'm like, holy cow, I've got this army of 10 people in this group could start attacking our leads. And we've already got leads in the pipeline. These are direct to seller leads. So what I want to do is, if you guys are game for it, is like, let's go attack leads that I already am marketing and paying for that are direct to seller and give you guys better reps, right? And then I'm also going to use my list, right? Because what I do is I also pay for a lot of data to be marketing to, right? So if I'm cold calling or texting, and those are kind of the main outbound channels I have, if I'm doing that, I'm pulling a big list, right? So I've already pulled all those lists, and I use Prop AI. I use a VA company out of Egypt that does cold calling. My thought is let's add in a third wrinkle, and let's just have students calling these leads, right? And my thought is I'm going to give you some of the more niche lists to start off with. And does anybody know what a niche list is? Okay, a niche list is it's a more targeted list, right? So I could just go hit all the high equity people, and by high equity, I mean, you can go on PropStream right now and you could, it has enough data to where it can pull the loan amount owed and what the property is currently the current market value, right? And it can pull those two numbers. And if there's a lot of equity, you can just go hit that list or pull that list, right? So that's called like a high equity list. I have lists that are like inherited data. For example, people who passed away in Wyoming and Montana over the last 12. Actually, I get a list every month. And this is one I think I'm going to put you guys on is, and again, if somebody's maybe pulling back and be like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to call somebody who just passed. Because we literally, what happens is somebody passes away, this list pulls it pulls like 5 descendants or 5 people that they think are most likely to know this person. So what we do is we approach this as, again, to help solve these people's problems. So, and I'm going to give you guys the scripts and everything, but since we're recording, I'll just do a quick role play. So if I'm calling Alex, and maybe Alex is the son of the person who passed away, I don't get on the phone and say, "Hey, Alex, I want to buy your father who passed away his house." Yeah, I'm not leading like that, right? I say, "Hey, Alex, I'm an investor in Wyoming, a local investor, been buying our company's been buying for over 10 years in Wyoming. I actually saw this property I've been trying to buy, and I've been trying to get a hold of who owns it. And I was doing some research, and it looked like you were named, or it looked like you might be connected with this house. Do you know this address?" And kind of started off that like, "Hey, I'm interested in buying this house." And then typically that'll open them up and they'll probably be like, "Yeah, you know what? I do know that house. It's actually my dad's who recently passed away." And then it's like, "Hey, I feel so bad. I'm so sorry." And that's when you say, "Hey, like," and again, say, "I'm not rushing you, but do you think at some point you guys would be interested in selling it?" We work with a lot of people in this situation, and they like it because it's easy, right? A lot of times when somebody passes away, you don't know what to do to the house, and it can just be a huge burden. And we just try to make it easy and give you some resources, right? So I've got scripts, so I'll cut it off there. So I've got scripts that kind of go over that, but that's like a really good niche list that I could give to this team, and you guys could be calling it. And like I said, you get like 5 different contacts, 5 different numbers for every person in Wyoming or Montana, where, again, it's who has passed away in these different areas. So you're just trying to get a hold of them, and these are, typically this house is going to be sold, right? So that's one example. We also do pre-foreclosures, like if somebody's obviously behind on payments. We got like a bad credit list. We do like a multifamily one where it's like I hit up all the multifamily properties across Wyoming and Montana, and we reach out to them and say, "Hey, would you be interested in selling?" And these are typically people who are like, they're always willing to hear offers, right? It's a more sophisticated person. It's not just like some random guy's house that has equity that you're cold calling and you're trying to get him to sell his house. So anyway, point is, I want to give you guys some more targeted lists to call to start getting some direct to seller leads. So what the kind of like from the ground up is the rookies, what you guys would be doing is I'd be giving you lists, and I'm going to actually give you guys a CRM. This is really cool. So my marketing guy, we talked about this yesterday. I'm like, "Hey, I told him the whole concept. I got this team. We want to help leverage my data and our deals to close more direct to seller." He's like, "You know what I could do is I could spin up this Go High Level." So has anybody heard of Go High Level? It's a CRM. Anybody use it? Hold on. Before I do that, I got to get rid of this so I can see everybody. Okay. So Go High Level is a CRM, meaning it keeps track of all, so my other No One Left Behind team, they're just using a Google Sheet, and every lead that you get, they're putting in a Google Sheet with like person's name, number, next scheduled call, feedback. Like it just tracks all the communication, right? A CRM tracks it like on a high level, and it keeps it all in one place. So what we're doing is he's actually spinning up a Go High Level account that everybody can use, and we can put all the data in there. You can actually call everybody through it. You can cold call. We can book appointments. We can manage everything within this CRM. And I typically wouldn't do this, but my marketing guy's like, "Hey, let's pilot this and try it." And he was just willing to do it at a discounted cost. So that's what we're going to do is we're going to get so kind of going back to it, the way I see this is I'm going to upload the data to the CRM. We're going to have several students that can like divvy up, and we can figure out if like Judy's calling these leads and then Wendy's calling these ones, or it could just be, you know what, everybody just start working the list down. And yeah, your goal is just going to be to book appointments, and that's kind of the point of the challenge. But going direct to seller, keeping communication there. Questions? I'm going to pause for a second because the next thing I want to get into is like kind of booking appointments and screening leads. But before I go there, any questions? Pretty good. Okay. So what'll help me, and I told my same other team this the same thing yesterday, is and also tell you what I do in my company. So in my company, we get all these leads, and I've got people texting that are VAs. I've got people cold calling, as I mentioned, and I've got like a VA that's kind of like a lead manager, right? And you guys are going to be able to do all those roles. And the beauty is you guys are all US based, because here's one thing I'll tell you. If you guys take anything away from this meeting and just in general, like investing and trying to find deals, it's all about just having conversations with sellers and asking good questions and listening, right? Like all I want you guys to do is get on the phone and just hear if you get somebody who's willing to sell, then you just start listening to their problems and understanding their situation. I've got lots of trainings and help you guys do that. But what I'm excited about is I can't quite teach a VA in Egypt or Pakistan or wherever they're at, Mexico. They don't understand our culture well enough to ask good questions and really build trust and rapport with these people. Because guys, this is where it helps me close deals. So Judith, who's on my team, she's phenomenal at this. She can get on the phone, and she lives up in Michigan, but she can get on here and she can talk and relate to these people in Wyoming and Montana or South Dakota or anywhere, right? But especially in like more rural, small towns, like people just want to trust you. So she asks good questions, she listens to them. So what I'm excited about you guys doing versus a VA in Mexico is you guys you know the culture, you could ask good questions, and then you could build rapport. So, because when you guys get that lead ultimately to me to go close it, if you've built rapport and you're going to send me some notes, you're going to be like, Judy, so say Judy calls this person, she's going to be like, hey, she's going to leave me some notes in the CRM and say, hey, Casey, I talked to Mary yesterday. Mary, her dad just passed away. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do with this house. They're thinking about just listing it with an agent or this, but they really want convenience. They don't want to deal with all the headaches of all that. Like any of those notes. And also Mary has 3 kids and they all do sports and she's really busy with her kids or whatever, stuff like that, right? You guys setting me up and building rapport. Then when I get on the call, I can operate much faster because I don't have to spend 30 minutes just getting to know them, which I enjoy, but I just can't do as much if I'm doing that. So you guys build trust. And again, Judith on my team does this so good to where I get on the call. I'm like, hey, they already trust me. They already trust what we're trying to help them with. And I can get right down to business and start talking to them. So really long-winded way of like, that's what I'm hoping you guys can do when you're working these leads. So anyway, and then the last thing I would like to potentially add in maybe later is if there's somebody who on the team who feels like they want to be a closer or they have a little bit more knowledge in there. There we go. Wendy's raising her hands. Yeah. And so wants to take it farther. Like I would love to build in a layer between everybody calling and building rapport and booking appointments and me to where say it's Wendy. We'll just use Wendy's name for now. She can actually go try to take it as far as you can. If you can negotiate terms and send them an LOI and get a contract all the way, go for it. Without me, that's phenomenal. And that's, again, I'm telling you, that's what Judith does. She goes as far as she can. But thing is she does is, okay, I'll give you this example. I keep going back to my other team, but they're good examples. My calendar on Monday had like 5 different agents who I was calling, and I call them, and I look at the notes, and it says, call this agent. They're looking for a cash offer, not really into seller finance, but wants an offer. It's like, okay, that's probably not the best use of my time as the closer to go call that person they just got a house listed on the property or on the market and they're willing to talk, right? I would rather, for example, Wendy goes and calls them and takes it a little bit further, starts to explain creative finance or a couple different options and see where they're at. And that way, when somebody's actually ready to negotiate and like they're a good lead, a hot lead that I need to close, then I'll jump into that one. But if I jump into all of them, guys, I'm just being honest, I won't be able to keep up. And the last thing I want to happen is Chris or Christina goes and spends all this time building rapport with this person, and then my calendar is so packed with leads that aren't really good leads that I can't call that person, right? So, what are you? I'm going to pause again. What are your guys' thoughts on all this so far? Good. Okay. Sounds like people are excited. So, um, cool. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. Next steps. I guess so. It's 9:30. Next steps are going to be. I think I'm going to have the CRM built out by tomorrow, to where you guys can all get logged into it, and we're going to try to. I'm not sure if everybody's going to have a joint account or individual accounts, but everybody's going to be able to log in. Well, let me just show you. Let me share my screen just for a second and give you guys a feel for kind of what it will look like. Okay, let's go to this one. Okay, I think it's loading very slowly. Whenever I project this, it messes it up. Okay. Okay, can you guys see my screen now? Okay. So, like, for example, I got way too many tabs, but let me find my investor tab. Okay. This is my CRM this is through Go High Level that I use for my, this is actually for my buyers and my investors for my fund. But anyway, like you'll have a contact list. We'll have all the leads that'll be in here, right? This one's actually filtered down so I can remove the filter. But anyway, you'll have like all the leads will be in here. You guys will be able to log in. You'll be able to go into conversations. This is like all the emails, messages, calls, right? But the cool thing is each one of these people, it keeps track of their notes, right? So just to give you guys a quick feel of, let's go back to contacts. And then we'll build out an opportunities pipeline. That'll be like the leads that we're working. But anyway, let's say we go to Michaela. And anyway, so it keeps track of all the communication, email, all this. I'm really far zoomed in. But it also keeps track of like notes and communication, her phone number, her information, all that, right? So my hope is by the end of tomorrow, I'm going to be able to get everybody in here. And I'm going to get everybody in. We're going to upload the list that you guys can start calling. And then, yeah, we can kind of start to delegate. For now, I think the whole team should just get in there and start making calls and trying to find leads. And I'm going to upload the list. So that's going to be one. Number two is going to be Mike's going to start getting this LOI blaster. And I'm going to put Mike with, I'm going to put him with Roger and have them set that up. And because there are going to be sometimes once they blast out this LOI blaster, which all this does, guys, is it just basically pulls a certain criteria of houses on the market. And then it sends them out a quick offer via email. And then what you guys do is you go follow up with those agents and call them and say, hey, we sent you an LOI the other day. Just wanted to see if you got it. I'm interested in the house on 123 Main Street. And you guys will have some students that are doing those follow-ups. And ultimately, those ones they're trying to get, and I definitely would recommend those ones if Wendy wants to be our kind of first layer of defense, we'll call her. If she wants to do those, then I'll let her take those ones first. Okay? What am I forgetting? I'm going to pause again, see what questions you guys have. Feel free to unmute. Or anything like that, but it's in our own locality. 100%. Yes. And depending, like, I think let's figure this out, like, do that 100%. But I'm thinking maybe next week, depending on how much data we have and how it's going, maybe we go upload some of that data to start reaching out to in either through, we could be cold calling it, or I guess what I'm saying is I don't mind moving in some other markets in and start actually trying to cold call it, text it, get a hold of him somehow. Because let me ask you that, Judy, on your prop stream, were you pulling like, what kind of criteria were you pulling? What kind of properties? Yes. Yes, I love it. You know what? I can answer that one definitively, Judy. pre-foreclosures list, we should be hitting that one right. We'll hit that one across the country because that's about the highest motivated list. And I've got a really cool training with you guys on, as part of a mastermind I'm in, Collective Genius. They gave this presentation a couple years ago. This guy was actually, he was on a YouTube video with Pace about this whole strategy, but he basically has this process of like how to actually go find the people of these, how to go find the pre-foreclosures on the attorney websites. And then actually how to go, like basically, he calls it, you got to go hunting, right? You got to go find these people. And the harder they are to find, whether that's on Facebook, Messenger, or whoever it might be, the harder they are to find, or maybe their descendants, the better the deals are. Because I'll tell you, if they're on PropStream and then you just go skip trace them, that person has probably been reached out to, right? Because that's a very common list. But the more harder ones where maybe the first person that's on there is, maybe the person listed and the phone number on that you skip trace isn't the right one. Therefore, everybody who tried to do that called and they gave up. Where you guys could separate yourselves is, all right, well, that house is in pre-foreclosure. Here's the person's name. Let me go on Facebook and look up him. I found him. Okay, here's his 3 brothers. Let me go message him. And that's how you kind of go do the hunting, right? So I've got a really cool training that I want to share with all you guys. So anybody interested in doing a pre-foreclosure list, I'm going to give you that training. I would highly recommend watching it. And I'm going to upload my pre-foreclosures in Wyoming, in Montana. But the problem is there's probably only going to be 20 of them max, maybe more like 10. But I don't mind, Judy, if you want to pull data, I would love that actually. If you want to pull data from other markets, let's put that into the CRM right away and let's start working it. I love it. And if other people have other lists, I know there was some other comments about, PropStream and other. If anybody has another list they want to do, feel free to throw it in. Right now I'm thinking the low-hanging fruit is let's go attack our leads and try to close as many as we can there. Oh, I didn't tell you guys this. So we just have okay, I'll show you guys this. This will maybe put things in. Yes. So bingo, both, a little bit of both. The low hanging fruit is going to be I'm generating leads, and that's actually I'm going to answer that right here, Charles. Sorry, Chris. And then, but I want both. If you guys can generate leads, and I'm also going to find ways that you guys can generate leads. But for now, to like get us going, I'm going to help doing some of these. Let me share one more thing with you guys to show you my CRM and just what it looks like. And I'm going to be exporting this into, here we go. I'm going to put this in here. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to look down here. You guys can see my screen again, right? Got it? Okay. Okay. So this is my CRM. Let's go to my leads. Okay, there it is. I couldn't get that sneeze to come. It kept lingering. Okay, so guys, this is it, right? Check this out. This is how we work our CRM. This is when we do it as a team, it's going to be different. But I have 8 new leads, 45 people that we're still trying to contact, 188 people that we've made contact but we haven't set an appointment. Another 188, are those the same? Wow, it's ironic that those are the same. Another 188 that we set an appointment but didn't actually ever make an offer. 74, this is our pipeline where we're trying to get comps. There's always a little bit of a period between the appointment and making the offer. So that's this bucket. And then I got 16 that I've made offers, right? So here's what I'm going to do is, and this is why I did this, Chris, to answer your question. I'm like, my team right now is swimming in leads that we can't get to. And these are all just people that they're hard to get a hold of, right? But these people, we either texted them and they said they were interested, or they saw a Google ad or Facebook ad or something. Oh, I might have somebody mute. Make sure we're all muted. Okay. There we go. So anyway, I mean, this is just doing the math here. This is probably 400 leads that they're somewhere stuck in my process. And I'm like, rather than us going and generate a bunch of other leads, I'm going to give you leads that actually are direct to seller motivated ones. And you guys help me get back a hold of them. and then we'll get them closed. So this is going to be the low-hanging fruit to answer Chris's question, but we're going to do the LOI blaster. I'm going to give you guys a pre-foreclosure list where hopefully you're adding. So I'm basically going to, I don't know how many, but I'm going to put in like 200 leads into this CRM that we're going to work as a team to where like these are 200 leads that at some point we're wanting to sell. And maybe it's right now, maybe it's in the future. Okay, I'm going to bring in, let's call it 200. And then we're going to work on bringing in more as part of the challenge. And this is, so me bringing in 200 leads, guys, I don't think anybody's doing this maybe they are in the challenge, but I guess what makes me unique is I have a direct-to-seller company and we have a bunch of leads we need to close. So I wanted to give this team that opportunity. The rest of the challenge, all they're doing is going and generating leads from, like, for example, my other team is they're just doing these LOI blasters and they're blasting all the deals in the market. And I kind of talked to you earlier about the challenges with that. We're going to do that, and that's going to be one piece of the leads we work. And when we get those leads from the LOI blaster, we'll bring it into the CRM and we'll work it, right? But I also want to go pull other lists and get other data to where we can use Prop AI, because I have a subscription to Prop AI we can leverage. I have other cold callers. We can use you guys cold calling. I even have texters that are texting. My thought is let's bring in all the data and all the leads we can, and then, ultimately close as many deals. Does that make sense, Chris? So we're going to pull it from multiple different ways to get as many leads as we can. Okay, hey, Mike. Cool, man. Yeah, Mike, the main action we kind of talked about is I'm going to get you in touch with Roger. So Roger's he's the integrator on this team. He's used LOI Blaster as well. So I'm going to let you two collaborate on the best process for getting it. You've already got a great start. And I told the team how awesome it is that you've already got the framework kind of done to where if I tried to start this, I told them what you told me. If we were starting this tomorrow, we'd be waiting. But luckily you've got it teed up. So I'm going to connect you with Roger to not only get it off the ground. Yes. And then the second piece is figure out how to get those leads. And this would be more Roger. Like once we get leads, how do we keep track of them? And I've got a CRM that I'm just going to dedicate only to this challenge and this group. All right, cool. So that is the plan, guys, going forward. What else did I forget? I'm going to repeat again. I want everybody to get into Slack because Slack is going to be a good way for us to communicate as a team. And especially, there's going to be, we'll figure out the line between when you put it in okay, well, I'll just answer it. If you're putting information in about a lead, you're going to use the CRM, right? But until we get the CRM, hopefully tomorrow, and if you just have general questions, that's what we use Slack for, right? But once we get the CRM set up, we're going to try to put all the communication. And the cool thing is, okay, I'm still sharing, right? So I'll just share you guys to show you what this looks like. I do this all the time, guys. Forgive me, but I tend to just show you everything, and it can be information overload. But I want to give you guys as much of a picture in your mind of what this is all going to look like. So this is, this is loading slow, but I want to show you what the Slack looks like and also what happens when we go make a new property. Come on. Okay, this is my other team, but for example, I was saying yesterday, this was a lead that I was working, right? So when we get a hot lead, we can put it into here too and be like, hey, here's a hot lead. Here's what's going on with it as we're kind of having conversations. Ideally we'll use the CRM, but sometimes I'll just want to get on here and be like, hey, Wendy, I talked to Joe at 1730 Center Avenue, and this is kind of where it's at. This is what I need you to do to follow up. We'll use Slack for that. And then basically every property that we're actually actively working and we've made contact, it looks like it's going to be a deal, we'll create a separate Slack channel for it. And it's going to get a little bit confusing on, Casey, should I use the CRM or should I use Slack? But the CRM is if it's based on the lead, but the CRM doesn't allow us to do voice memos and a lot of other features. It's pretty much just going to keep track of notes and the seller's information and the stage, right? Are we making an offer or are we just waiting to set an appointment? Where is it at in the stage? But Slack can just be general communication. And then we have this general chat, right? As you guys just have general questions, Hopefully you guys saw this yesterday. I know this one isn't ours, but this is a recording to Problems to Profits. Okay, I'm going to slow down for one more second. The other point I wanted to make for you guys is I'm going to, and I said it earlier, but I want to try to record as many of these calls as I can. And those recordings, I'm going to try to drop them into Slack. That way you guys can go, because I'm probably not going to be able to do a ton of, okay. As far as doing live calls and closing, I will do that every Friday at Problems to Profits. And you guys can get on there and you can ask questions and it'll be really fun, right? But if I'm calling a lead during the week, I'm going to do my best to call them on Riverside, and then I'm going to get that link and post it in here. Will I get all of them? No, but I'm going to try to get as many of them I can. But that'll be another example of when we use Slack, is when I record those calls. That way you guys can hear them. And if you're, if I'm Wendy and I got a hot lead that I gave to Casey, I want to see how it went. I want to see how the call went because I'm invested in it, right? So I'm going to try to record as many of those as I can. But, okay. What other questions? It's been a lot of me talking for 45 minutes, but hopefully, is this starting to come into clear picture for you guys? What it's going to look like? Yeah, let's, and that's the one I got to be, okay. I'm trying to be better as a leader about saying I could do all these meetings and I can't get to them all. So I'm also really want, and we could talk amongst the team. I'd love for somebody else on the team to, and maybe Roger's the integrator, so I think Roger should kind of be the person for now, but Roger can also delegate. But I'd like to have somebody else leading a team meeting every day so you guys can get on and answer questions, and then you can kind of come up with a handful of ones that you definitely want to ask me. But I do think it is important. Actually, show of hands, would you guys like to meet as a team daily, or at least have the opportunity? Okay. I mean, yes. So pace is the challenge to sub 2 is a month long, all of October. But I mean, here's my opinion. I don't want to break any rules, but if I go set you guys up in a CRM and I'm investing a lot of time and resources, I think there's going to be another challenge next month. So I don't know if pace is going to go make all new teams, but regardless, I would like this team to just keep going. Especially if we're tracking deals, and I'll tell you guys, just being honest with you, we're going to work a lot of deals, and we might not close them till next month. At least in our CRM, when I showed you guys, those are deals we've been working for years. They aren't always ready. So my hope is, the intent is, to answer your question, Chris, the intent is a month, but I want to keep it going longer. If everybody has energy and they're working hard, let's keep it rolling. The one question I don't have is how we're going to work out the compensation. I know Pace and Sub 2 was going to make some recommendations. So I'd like to see that, and then I'd like to kind of talk amongst the team and figure that out. But for now, the goal, and I mean, I'm going to invest my time in it, and I know you guys are going to do the same. So the goal is, let's invest our time to get some leads closed. I think you guys probably know the bigger chunk goes to the closer. And also, I'm obviously paying for the marketing and getting it all in. But I would like to find a way to make this, you guys get to make some money off this too. I mean, number one, you're going to for sure get experience. And I hope, and I'll tell you this, that's going to be worth 10 times more than anything you make on a deal, is you guys being able to go do this by yourselves. And I think that's probably why you guys are all here anyway. But we will figure that out. But I did want to touch on that right now in case anybody had questions. Yes. Let's kind of not in detail enough, Mike. So guys, for the LOI blaster and just in general, the data that I'm bringing to the table and the data that I think we should attack the hardest, just because, well, I haven't even brought this up, guys, but we can do all this work to go find a deal, but if we can't move it, it's a moot point, right? If we can't dispo the deal, we make nothing, right? So that's why I'm picking these markets. Is I'm a buyer. We're going to try to do 100 deals this year just in our markets alone, just with my team. So, and also I just have a bigger network of people to dispo to in these areas. So if we find, okay, for example, I hate maybe I shouldn't say I hate it, but I dog on California a lot, right? Like I got all these leads yesterday in my calendar with agents listed in California. I'm like, okay, I just don't think this is a good use of time because I don't know. I don't have a bunch of buyers in California. Myself, not a big believer in investing in California just because of how the politics and everything. It's not pro business. So anyway, or who knows? Maybe it's in New York, upstate. I keep picking blue states, but or maybe it's Florida, right? But I just don't have I can go figure out buyers, but it's going to be harder for me versus in these markets. So I'm finally going to answer Mike's question. So Wyoming, South Dakota, and Montana, those three we're investing right now in doing deals. The next ones I want to add for Mike's LOI blaster would be Nebraska, and I'll send these all out, Utah, and Colorado. So we're kind of just hitting, and honestly, I think we can add Idaho to that mix because those are all kind of same area. It's a similar, there's a lot of similarities between those markets. So that would be my recommendation, Mike, is we hit those all with the LOI blaster. And here's the other thing. If I'm Judy and I'm pulling pre-foreclosures, those are the states I'm going to pull first, right? Because those are the ones I feel most comfortable closing. Yes. Love that. Yep. I just pulled one up on my screen. Sweet. Yeah, I'll just share the template. Yep. I'll share one of the new ones. Okay. You know what? And I might try to put the testimonial. You know what? Let's just get it going for now. But guys, Mike brings up a good point. So, and I'm just telling you guys should be super excited because I can't promise you, but my guess is all these other teams are sending out, like Mike said, a generic LOI. It's just like agents are getting blasted this. I mean, think about this challenge. There's probably agents in Salt Lake City that are getting blasted 5 of these from different no one left behind teams, right? So the difference between what them and what we're doing is we're going to put this is my company's logo, letterhead. We actually have, this one doesn't have it. I'm going to give a template that shows it talks a little bit about our company and how it actually talks about capital gains. It's like, we try to give them more information so they understand hey, why would I want to sell seller finance? What's in it for me? And then I'm also working on building out our testimonial videos because we've just, over the years, guys, I talked about this on Problems to Profits, but the biggest thing that helps me close these creative deals, man, I'm going to go here for a second if you guys follow me for just 30 seconds. So when you're trying to pitch a creative deal, people are not very receptive. Some people are, but the majority of people are like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't trust you. Why would I do this? This is confusing, right? But when you add that this team is going to be building rapport and building trust and getting to know them, right? And you add the fact that we're going to bring in our company's credibility and they can look at our testimonials and our videos. Guys, that's how I overcome objections. And that's how I get somebody to go sell their house and leave their name on the loan. It's because of just credibility and that we've been doing this. So I'm really glad Mike brought that up. We're going to do that on all of our LOIs and everything you guys, and even in your language. I probably just need to bring on Judith. I'm going to write this down. I'm going to have Judith come on one of the calls, and Judith can talk about how she kind of uses our credibility on the calls. And again, and this isn't not about my ego whatsoever, but she'll say, hey, you're going to get to talk to Casey, the owner of the company. And she just you tee them up, or maybe this is who maybe you guys are hyping up Wendy, and you're like, hey, you're gonna get to talk to Wendy. Wendy is great. She is such a good, don't say closer, but like Wendy is so good with our sellers. Like she's helped so many people and she's so personable. You're really going to like her. She's like, she's got kids just like you, blah, blah, blah. But you guys are just, you're priming them, right? So, because when you hand, in sales, when you have to hand somebody off to another person, it could be, you can lose all that rapport and it's really, it's all in the handoff. So, which I'll bring on Judith to show how she does this for me is she's like, hey, you're going to talk to Casey and blah, 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 blah. And then they're really comfortable and I can jump right on that call. Right. So anyway, you guys made me think about that as we're kind of handing it off and closing deals. But ultimately, yeah, we're going to be able to, I really believe, guys, you're going to be able to close more deals than any other team just because of the fact that we're going to be able to bring credibility. You guys are going to be building rapport. And we got Mike's LOI blaster. We've got a lot of resources. So anyway, I'm excited. What other questions you guys have? Go ahead. Yes.